All right, so we're diving into the world of Wim Wenders today.
Yeah.
A filmmaker known for his poetic, really visually stunning films.
Hmm.
And we're going to kind of explore what makes his work so captivating.
Yeah.
We're going to be focusing on three of his most celebrated films: Paris, Texas, Wings of Desire, and his most recent Perfect Days.
Fantastic.
So yeah, this should be good.
Wenders is often called a cinematic poet,
Yeah, I've heard that.
and it's fitting.
Mm,
His films aren't just narratives, they're really visual experiences that stay with you
Yeah.
long after the credits roll.
for sure.
He explores themes of alienation, the search for identity, but he does it in such a visually stunning and emotionally resonant way.
Okay, so before we get to the specific film,
So sure.
can you unpack what makes Wender's style so unique? Like, what should we be looking for as we watch his work?
Well, one of his signature techniques is his use of landscapes.
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't treat them as just backdrops, but as emotional characters that mirror the inner states of his protagonists.
Mm,
Think about the vast, desolate landscapes in Paris, Texas, for instance.
yeah, yeah.
They evoke this sense of isolation and longing that perfectly reflects Travis's journey.
That's interesting because I've always kind of thought of him as a very urban filmmaker, especially after seeing Wings of Desire.
Right.
Is that tension between urban and rural settings something you see in his work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wenders is fascinated by the interplay between these spaces. He's drawn to the anonymity and alienation of cities,
Right.
but he also finds beauty and solace in those wide-open landscapes.
Yeah.
It's this tension that adds another layer of depth to his films.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's not just about pretty pictures.
No, not at all.
It's about using those images to convey something deeper
Exactly.
about the human condition.
He's a master of visual storytelling.
Yeah.
He uses long takes,
Uh-huh.
natural lighting, and often frames his characters within these vast spaces, almost emphasizing their smallness against the grandeur of the world.
Mm.
And then there's the music.
Yeah, right.
Wenders is known for his incredible soundtrack.
Absolutely.
I think I read somewhere he's a huge music fan
Yeah.
and often uses music to create a specific mood
Yeah, definitely.
or atmosphere in his film.
Okay.
So it's very intentional.
It makes me want to rewatch all his films with a fresh perspective now.
Me too.
So let's dive into the first film on our list, Paris, Texas.
Okay.
I mean, it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes,
Mm-hmm.
which, for those who don't know, is winning the Super Bowl for filmmaking.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So what makes this film such a standout in Wenders' filmography, and how does it, exemplify his unique style that we've been talking about?
Paris, Texas is considered his breakthrough film.
Yeah.
And it really beautifully showcases all the elements we've just discussed.
Okay.
It follows Travis,
Mm-hmm.
who reappears after years of wandering in the desert, seemingly lost,
Yeah.
disconnected.
Mm.
And he embarks on this journey to reconnect with his estranged wife and young son.
What?
And that journey becomes this powerful exploration of loss, redemption, and the search for connection.
I remember being so struck by the visuals.
Yes.
Especially the contrast between the dusty reds and neon blues
Right.
of the Texas landscape.
Mm-hmm.
It felt almost otherworldly.
Yeah.
How does Wenders use these visuals to tell the story?
The cinematography by Robbie Miller is absolutely breathtaking.
It is, yeah.
Those dusty landscapes, the neon-lit motels and gas stations, they create a visual language that speaks volumes about Travis's inner turmoil.
Yeah.
And the vastness of the American landscape.
Uh-huh.
Wenders uses those wide open spaces to convey a sense of isolation,
Right.
but also yearning for connection. And then you have the close-ups on Travis's face,
Right.
etching his weariness and pain into the viewer's mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
And then the music, that haunting slide guitar
Yeah.
by Ry Cooder.
Mm-hmm.
It's the music is echoing those landscapes you were talking about.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of how Wenders uses music to create a specific mood and atmosphere.
Right.
The slide guitar underscores the themes of longing and solitude
Yeah.
that run throughout the film.
It's both melancholic and beautiful,
Yes.
much like the film itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Paris, Texas really explores that yearning for connection
Yeah.
against the backdrop of these vast American landscapes.
Mhm.
But Wings of Desire takes us to a completely different setting,
Okay.
a divided Berlin,
Right.
and explores this theme from a a more
Yeah.
celestial perspective.
That's a great transition.
Oh,
Because I was just thinking about how different those two films are,
yeah.
yet they both seem to grapple with similar questions about
Yeah.
what it means to be human and
Yeah.
to connect with others.
Precisely.
Yeah.
In Wings of Desire, we're presented with angels
Hmm.
who observe humanity unseen and unheard.
Okay.
One angel, Damiel,
Right.
becomes fascinated by the vibrancy of human life,
Oh, wow.
the joys and sorrows,
Yeah.
the simple pleasures
Mhm.
that he can only witness from a distance.
And then there's that iconic visual motif of the film being primarily in black and white,
Yes.
but then shifting to color when the angels are experiencing the world through
Yeah.
human senses. I
Yeah.
remember reading that Wenders worked with the legendary cinematographer
Yeah.
Henry Alienation on that film.
Alienation was a master of light and shadow.
Yeah.
His work on Wings of Desire is simply mesmerizing.
It's beautiful.
The black and white cinematography gives the film a timeless, almost ethereal quality,
Yeah.
while the strategic use of color underscores the richness and vibrancy of the human experience.
It's such a powerful metaphor.
It is, isn't it?
That contrast between the angelic realm,
Mm-hmm.
which is depicted in this stark black and white,
Right.
and then the human world, which explodes in color. When Damiel chooses to become mortal,
Right.
it's like Wenders is saying,
Yeah.
to truly live, to truly connect with others,
Uh-huh.
you have to embrace the full spectrum of human experience,
Yes.
both the light and the dark.
That's a beautiful interpretation.
Thanks.
I think it gets to the heart of what Wenders is exploring in that film.
Yeah.
It's a love letter to humanity,
Mm-hmm.
to the beauty and fragility of life,
Yeah.
and to the power of human connection.
It's also a love letter to Berlin, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
I mean, even though it's a film about angels,
Right.
it feels so grounded in the reality of that city,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the wall still dividing it.
Wenders captures the atmosphere of pre-reunification Berlin perfectly.
Yeah.
It feels both poignant and hopeful.
Ah.
You see the scars of the city's past,
Right.
but you also sense this yearning for unity
Yeah.
and a belief in the possibility of a brighter future.
Now, let's fast forward a few decades to Wenders' latest masterpiece,
Okay.
Perfect Days.
Perfect Days, yes.
This film seems to mark a shift in his style, wouldn't you say?
In some ways, yes.
It's much more minimalist,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the seemingly mundane life of a toilet cleaner in Tokyo.
Right.
What drew Wenders to this particular story? How does it fit within his larger body of work?
I think Perfect Days is a testament to Wenders' enduring talent
Okay.
and his ability to find beauty in unexpected places.
Yeah.
The film centers on Hirayama,
Uh-huh.
a man who finds contentment in the simple routines of his life,
Right.
cleaning toilets, listening to music,
Okay.
taking photos of trees.
It's almost like Wenders is inviting us to slow down,
Yes,
to appreciate the beauty of the everyday,
absolutely.
the things we often take for granted.
Exactly. And he does it with such a delicate touch.
Uh-huh.
The film is visually exquisite,
Hmm.
but it's also incredibly quiet and introspective.
Right.
We're invited to observe Hirayama's life, his small rituals,
Yeah.
his interactions with the people he encounters,
Mhm.
and to find poetry in the mundane.
It's interesting because even though Perfect Days is so different in style and tone
Yeah.
from his earlier films,
Mhm.
I still see those signature Wenders elements.
Oh, like what?
The attention to detail,
Yes.
the use of music to evoke mood,
Uh-huh.
the exploration of themes like solitude and connection.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think what connects all of Wenders' films,
Mm.
regardless of their genre or style,
Yeah.
is his profound humanism.
Hmm.
He's interested in exploring what it means to be alive,
Right.
to experience the world in all its complexity, and to
Right.
find meaning in the connections we forge with others.
And he does it with such a unique cinematic language.
He does.
He's a true visionary.
Absolutely.
Speaking of visionaries, how would you describe Wenders' legacy and impact on cinema?
Well,
I mean, he's been making films for over 50 years now,
right.
and his influence can be seen in the work of so many other filmmakers.
Wenders is a pioneer of what's often called slow cinema, a style of filmmaking that emphasizes long takes,
Mm-hmm.
static shots,
Okay.
and a contemplative pace.
Right.
He's inspired generations of filmmakers
Yeah.
to embrace a more patient and poetic approach to storytelling.
You see it, like, you see his influence
Mm-hmm.
in the work of directors like Jim Jarmusch,
Oh, yeah.
Aki Kaurismäki,
Yes.
even Terrence Malick.
Right.
They've all, like, they've all been inspired by Wender's use of landscapes,
Mm-hmm.
his meditative pacing,
Yeah,
and his ability to find, like, profundity in the everyday.
absolutely.
And it's not just his narrative features, right?
Right.
Wenders has also directed some, like, incredible documentaries,
Oh, for sure.
like Buena Vista Social Club and
Yes.
Pina, which explore, the world of music and dance.
Mm.
And you see that same, like, poetic sensibility,
Yeah.
that same attention to detail
Mm-hmm.
and human emotion in his documentaries as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting because even though, like, he's often categorized as an art house filmmaker,
Right.
his work has a way of reaching a wide audience.
It does.
Maybe it's because, like, at the heart of it,
Yeah.
he's telling stories about universal human experiences,
Mm-hmm.
loneliness,
Yeah.
longing,
Right.
the search for connection,
Huh.
the beauty of the everyday.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
His films speak to something deep within us,
Mm-hmm.
something that transcends cultural boundaries
For sure.
and language barriers.
So, for our listener who might be just discovering Wim Wenders,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is the best way to approach his films?
Mm-hmm.
Where should they start?
That's a good question.
Because I know some people might be intimidated by his reputation as, like, a slow cinema director,
Sure.
you know?
I would say
Yeah.
don't be afraid to embrace the slowness.
Okay.
Wender's films are like meditations.
Hmm.
They invite you to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
to observe,
Right.
to contemplate, and I think any of the films we've discussed today would be a great entry point.
Okay.
Paris, Texas is a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Wings of Desire is a bit more experimental,
Right.
but equally rewarding.
Mm,
And Perfect Days is a beautiful testament to his enduring talent
yeah,
and his ability to find poetry in the mundane.
I agree.
Yeah.
And maybe start with whichever film's premise intrigues you the most,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the, like, vast landscapes of Paris, Texas,
Right.
or the angelic perspective of Wings of Desire,
Mm-hmm.
or the quiet contemplation of Perfect Days. There's a Wenders film out there for everyone.
Absolutely.
Um,
And don't be afraid to rewatch them.
That's
I
true.
find that with each viewing, you discover new layers, new
Yeah.
nuances,
Yeah.
new details that you might have missed the first time around.
That's the beauty of great art, isn't it?
It is.
It keeps revealing itself to you over time.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And with Wenders, you can be sure that each viewing will be a visually and emotionally rich experience.
Well, I think this deep dive has given our listener a great starting point
I hope so.
for exploring the work of Wim Wenders.
Me too.
He's a filmmaker who truly invites us to see the world differently,
Yeah.
to appreciate the beauty in the everyday,
Mm-hmm.
and to connect with our own humanity
Uh-huh.
on a deeper level.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what speaks to you most in Wenders' films.
Mhm.
Is it the characters,
Yeah.
the landscapes,
Right.
the overarching themes?
Uh-huh.
What will you be thinking about as you revisit his work?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, let us know.
Yes, let us know.
Until next time, keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep those conversations going.